And we are living through a period where hostility to migrants, increasing xenophobia, and often along with it racism, unfortunately are occurring pretty much everywhere around the world. There is a fair bit of it today in our own country towards people who have come from elsewhere into our country, especially the people who are visibly different. If you are European, you would not face the kind of hostility that brown people seem to be facing today.
My question was actually broadly to all three of you. As somebody, personally, I can relate to that as well as somebody who's spent a lot of time in multiple continents, whether it's in England or in the US. The recent climate of the attitude towards Indians has obviously changed. And as somebody who's also come back from a long time away, especially in the West, it is a bit of a doldrum for all of us thinking about where our futures lie and what our loyalty, I wouldn't say loyalty is probably the wrong word, but what our priorities should be heading into the future with India shaping up as a technical model, definitely, but also what would your advice be to young Indians who clearly have the potential and clearly have been there and done it in multiple countries before, but they want to get back to their country, not just in a political way, but also, for example, as I am in a more technical, AI-related manner. What would your advice be? And my question is broadly to all three of you. Thank you very much.
Well, I think it's easier for me to answer because I actually went there, lived abroad, worked internationally, and came back to India. So for me, there was never any doubt. I mean, I had written somewhere, I looked in the mirror and I saw an Indian, so there wasn't any question in my mind that I would be anything else. I think, in all fairness to my sisters, they became other nationalities because it was more convenient and because it was also more acceptable. Today, I would say that somebody in their position might think twice about, for example, a choice to become American, where the resentments are so much visible, so much more visible, so much more loudly expressed, and in some ways so much more overtly hostile, especially to people who are visibly different. If you are European, you would not face the kind of hostility that brown people seem to be facing today. And that's worrying, it's disappointing, but it's also a reflection of the fact that when economic times are hard, when people feel that they can't get jobs easily, when they feel that their dream of doing better than their parents is being thwarted by people who don't look like them, who've come in and taken those jobs or whatever, there's bound to be some resentments. I mean, this is essentially what we're seeing. And we are living through a period where hostility to migrants, increasing xenophobia, and often along with it racism, unfortunately are occurring pretty much everywhere around the world. And let's face it, it's not just in the West. There is a fair bit of it today in our own country towards people who have come from elsewhere into our country. So let's be honest and say that when there is a sense that people are competing for scarce resources, very often you try and distinguish who's entitled to those more than others, and you push people aside. So I would say to young people, look, if you're getting a scholarship to go and study in a good American university, by all means take it. Improve your knowledge, improve your skills, maybe even work for a little while if you can without getting to be the object of other people's hate. But then come back, because this is a place where you do belong, where your country needs you, wants you, can use you, and where you don't have to worry about whether you look like others or not. I mean, we're a great mess right here. Come back and help build India. So thank you for being here and working in AI.
Good evening, sir and ma'am. It's an honor to be here and get a chance to engage with all of you to address gender-based violence. You've introduced a private member's bill in the Lok Sabha on Friday to criminalize marital rape. How do you see the criminalization of marital rape strengthening constitutional values like dignity, autonomy, and equality within marriage?
This is a very important issue, and I'm very glad you noticed it. In fact, I planned to write a column about this too, because I was shocked at the fact that India is one of the few democracies in the world where it is legal for a husband, quote unquote, to rape his wife. First of all, the assumption in the law is that the sacrament of marriage is so sacred that whatever takes place in it cannot be classified in any other category. There is an implicit assumption that the man's conjugal rights are not something that can be challenged in a court of law. But the problem is that what they're overlooking in taking the stand is that marital rape is not about conjugal rights or about love or about the conduct of a marriage. It is about violence. And violence is criminalized in our country for good reason. Because, as you said, it affects another person's bodily autonomy, agency, rights to be free from violence. The second problem with marital rape, which is not sufficiently appreciated, is a lot of it happens within couples where the husband is separated but a divorce has not taken place. Very often you've got, for example, families where a talaq has been pronounced, the husband is living separately, but when he feels he wants to, he'll come and rape the wife, and nothing can be done against him because they're still husband and wife. That's a travesty. That should never be allowed to happen. And so we need to stand up for the rights of women, which in many ways are being overlooked in the existing exception. I'm only talking about removing an exception. You see, there is a very strong rape law in our country. The problem is that rape law actually has a provision saying there's an exception that husbands enjoy. Why should they enjoy it? I mean, to be honest, if you love your wife, you would respect her when she doesn't want to have sex with you. And if you don't respect her, then frankly, if she really feels you've done her violence, she has every right to ensure that you're punished for it. As far as I'm concerned, this kind of law is massively necessary in India. And I'm going to advocate it. And I have already. I'm starting that women ministers for this particular portfolio have defended such an exception. I think it's truly astonishing. And we should speak out openly against it. We have a tremendous amount of faith in each other, and we know that each of us is absolutely fundamentally loyal to the other two. I mean, there's no mistrust, there's no doubt, there's never been any reason for any of that. And so whenever there is a crisis, as Smita said, when Sunanda passed away, she was on a plane within hours. That's the sort of, sticking together I've seen from my sisters. And I will be very honest and say that I don't think I would have survived without them. I mean, they have been a tremendous, tremendous emotional support base for me throughout my rough and tumble of political and public life. And at the same time, they keep me straight, because with them there is no, she talks about hero worship, she's really sweet. There's no hero worship that I see on a daily basis. I'm their brother, and they'll tell me exactly what they think and where I should get off. And I respect that. Whenever we have problems, and touch wood, the problems are by and large smaller ones. We haven't had any existential crisis in recent years, but whenever there are problems, we usually converge and agree. We are on a WhatsApp group, the three of us, which even if they're in different countries, or one is in India, the other one is not, or whatever, we always consult. We wait for all three views to be heard before a decision is made. And I think that's been a terrific thing. And to be honest, having my mother with me has been very important. But at the same time, I couldn't possibly have looked after her the way in which I've been able to, because these two take turns in coming and spending time with her. So all of these things, I think, are an essential part of what makes us as a trio work.